Russell Simmons' daughter, Aoki, I believe I said it right.
Yes.
Lee Simmons. She's been in the news for some comments as it relates to these rappers that have been passing away. I want to read a passage and you can kind of jump in on this. You know, every time a black hip hop artist, a rap artist who was broken into the American mainstream dies, it's only those communities, the black community, the hip hop community, who are actively involved in the remembrance or mourning of them. At the same time, like so many privileged non-black people are like living their lives, the soundtrack to their lives through this music, and they are using it for everything. It's constantly in headphones, constantly in the gym, and it's constantly their motivation. So she's basically saying it's always the hip hop communities that mourn the rappers when they pass, but it's not those suburban kids that we talk about that are, you know, talking about ops, and riding around and going to the gym and working out too, and, you know, shooting TikTok videos to these joints. I agree with her 100%. I think I see it often. You don't?
No.
Tell me why.
First of all, the hip hop community in 2022 is not relegated to the inner cities. Okay,
but let's talk about the actual concept of the mourning part.
Yeah.
Not as a whole. I'm talking about the actual mourning. Do you see? Maybe it's not on my timeline, or, you know, my friend. I might not have that group, but do you think it's normal to see the suburban kids mourning like we will see the what we'll call normal hip hop community, if that's fair?
Okay, no, yeah, because you know what, I'm 45, so I'm of a time when white kids, like, they were on the fringes if they were involved with this, and especially in suburbia. But, you know, if you're a fan of Migos or P&B Rock, or you're young enough to where hip hop is all you know, this is really a part of your upbringing. This is a part of your culture. Like, you didn't grow up like in a space where hip hop was something that was really, that's just for the black kids. You can hang out with him every once in a while. Like, this is when I done high school proms. As far as like and setting the music, and do you know what? When I see them go crazy,
it's not the Taylor Swift.
It's not the Taylor's. Like, they like those records.
Y'all would know.
But when you play, you know, those hip hop. Look, I did a graduation party with DJ Metronome. I think it was out in like Rushville.
Yeah,
and like, these kids were, I didn't know about 42 Doug until they told me, like, yo, you guys got 42 Doug? You know, we had to go ahead.
Oh, that was a request?
This is a request.
Okay.
You know, these kids, you know, in these suburban communities, and I'd say not even suburban at this point, rural communities.
Period.
This is their music. They mourn the loss of these artists because they're their artists. These are the people that we grew up with, and we are affected in the same way. Like the 𝗀𝗲𝗄𝗏. I know I'm messing it up for anybody who's a fan.
I did not realize that young man had that much impact.
And so
I will agree with that.
You
I didn't
see,
know.
and the people who have died as of late, like, it stretches from the hoods to the suburbs to you know, they're torn up about it.
Let me ask you this, Terry. I'm coming to you, play devil's advocate here. This might be a reach. I'm just going to throw it at the wall and see. So Takeoff's funeral was going to be at the arena where the Hawks play.
That's what
I heard, right?
Yeah.
What is the percentage of white people that'll be in there?
I can't call that, man.
I'm just asking.
That's technically whoever they let it. I mean, is it open to the public?
Now that I don't know, so don't give me the line. It might be. But I'm assuming they have it there because it's big enough for all of the people, all of his fans that want to come through, right?
Yeah.
Do you think? I don't know, man. It's just Lone said it's a reach in the chat. I see him. Thanks for the comment, Lone.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe Jay Moore's point about the grand scheme of hip hop changing from what it was when we were coming up. I hadn't thought about that, so I give you peas for that. But
so
go ahead.
It did change, but it's kind of similar because, like, if you think about it, back then, if you weren't black and you was listening to hip hop,
right,
and that was like your main source, like, I ain't talking about the people that went to college and listened to it, because that's what they was playing at the frat parties. I'm talking about the people that really gravitated towards it and really know hip hop. You had something in common with them kids. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. Because, I mean, you had a whole lot of musical options back then.
True.
So you had your grunge cats, you had your hip hop cats, you had your rock and roll cats, you had your R&B cats, R&B and pop intertangle. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Back then, it was kind of easier to see, and it was less of people outside of the culture that were into it. Now hip hop is the main genre of music. So you don't think that these other kids are affected by it. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, what's her name again?
Russell's Aoki. Yeah.
Okay, so she's grown up around a bunch of rich, snobby kids, probably.
Yeah.
I think that would be fair to say.
I mean,
she is of the 1%.
Yeah,
she didn't go to my high school.
So maybe her circle of people that she sees out here, aren't as affected by it.
That's a good.
I know a young cat.
That's a good point.
I know a young cat that I work with.
Yeah.
And to his example of doing a prom, this dude went to not Monrovia. It's kind of close over by there.
Yeah.
But hip hop is his stuff. That's all he listens to. I can look at him a certain way when he likes certain people. I mean, he ain't saying nothing he shouldn't say, but it's kind of like, what makes you so into them?
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, they talking about this, that, and other stuff you can't really
relate to.
But I mean,
you know, there's the majority of the black kids in this country can't relate to it either.
That's a good point.
And like you said, it's the majority. It's the majority genre right now. You have to consume it some way or another.
I mean, I still like what she said, but I have to look at it from a standpoint of what I see. You make the point you made about her surroundings and what she has grown accustomed to seeing. I hadn't thought about that. You know, that's why when I throw these topics out, I like to hear, you know, what we all say as a whole, but I also like to hear different perspectives, and I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. So that's real. That's a fair point. Y'all both make fair points.
Like I said, we grew up at a time when there weren't like, okay, there was Yo MTV Raps, and that was just so they didn't have to play a lot of rap music during the rest of the time the TV was on. Yeah. And, you know, then, you know, it was
segregated.
If you're talking 100%. About 20 years ago,
100%.
There was a time where like, okay, like there were major metropolitan areas, maybe not 20, but 25 years ago, that still did not have a station that was dedicated to, like, rap would be something that, like, it had to be a real big song and it would get played along. They'd mess around. I remember the station in St. Louis, it'd be like, all right, well, here's this Coolio song. Shout out to, you know, rest in peace to him.
Coolio.
You know, because when Gangsta Paradise hit real big, and then they, you know, had to play it right next to, I don't know, some R&B song, and it just didn't fit. You know, they were still trying to, like, keep quote unquote mainstream black radio
still can't
R&B.
Still can't remember.
You know, and so there is there's just a now. If you grow up in a place where, you know, there's still major metropolitan areas that still don't have quote unquote a rap radio station.
Oh, I believe it.
You know,
I've driven through some.
Yeah, so you got to understand that, you know, there's still that bit of segregation and reluctance sometimes, but like the internet has democratized things to a point where like you can't act like you don't see these numbers on Spotify. And the thing is, when people say, "Oh, they hit 1 billion on Spotify, they hit 1 billion over here," but you got to realize that, like, okay, Spotify is one streaming platform. I don't listen to any of my music on Spotify.